Present to you, amen, this champion, our MP, Mr. Frederick Mitchell.
Thank you very much, Bishop. Oh boy. Please sit. Please sit. Thank you very much. So, Bishop, the last time I heard that expression, pinch somebody, I was standing, well, I actually felt the pinch. I was in the lobby of what was then the Balmoral Hotel. And this lady, beautiful young lady, passed me by, and she pinched me on my arm, saying, "And you see me trying to like you?" Yeah, be careful of those pinches. It's a good evening to be here. And bless you all. To the reverend gentlemen and ladies who are here on the platform with me, to the bishops, and to all of you, the people of Fox Hill. It is my honor once again to join you to celebrate in our own special way independence for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, the 51st version of that independence. And the reason this ceremony takes place is because when I was the Member of Parliament in the year 2002 to 2007, the late Winston Saunders was the chairman of the Independence Commission. And he indicated that what the commission wanted was for all communities throughout the Bahamas to choose a special way to celebrate independence for their own communities. And we decided to do this, and thankfully this has continued from that time to this. And so I want to congratulate you for keeping this up. And I was there in 1973. Reverend Pinder said she was there. I gather most of us who were here. The other day, I was at the L.W. Young Junior High School, and I looked around the room, and I looked at all the faces, and it occurred to me that in the room, only two people were in that room who were born before independence. One was Pauline Davis, and the other was me. But everyone else, including the principal of the high school, had not been born at the time independence took place. And that caused me to think that there's an ever more important role. I call this period in my life the long goodbye, because this is the era of making sure that the next generation understands where we are and where we are going. And the expression is, while I am yet alive, that is our bound and duty, to ensure that the next generation knows where we are and where we are headed. And that's why I'm deeply grateful for Reverend Rami, who is from that next generation, to be here to establish that marker in the sand, which tells us where we are and where we're going. So I want to thank you and join me in thanking him for that wonderful sermon tonight. We now have a system of national honors, and I want to congratulate two people from the Fox Hill community who received national honors by the Governor General on Independence Day. I think Mr. Randall Colby is here this evening. He's here if you just stand and be recognized. He's a former Assistant Commissioner of the Her Majesty's Prison, which is now called the Department of Corrections. And also Ms. Betty Brown, who is a retired public servant. I don't know whether she's here from the Eastwood community as well. So congratulations to Mr. Colby and congratulations to Ms. Brown. my pet peeve about these public ceremonies. Why do you think that someone chooses to get on a motorbike, do a wheelie, and make all that noise in the middle of a public ceremony about independence? I mean, it's almost as if it's a deliberate insult. I wish we could get control of it, and we have a new officer in charge of the Fox Hill Police Station. His name is Chief Superintendent Stephen Maycock, who replaces outgoing Chief Superintendent Dwight Smith. Mr. Smith, I gather, is moving to the Grove, to the Southern Police Station in the Grove. And so we want to welcome Mr. Maycock here to this area. And together with Urban Renewal and the Department of Environment, I intend or hope to convene a meeting during the course of this week to deal with what I think are some complex environmental problems here. This issue of people piling up cars next to people's places, and we can't seem to get the issue resolved. It's debasing people's property values, and it's creating a nuisance, and we have to get on top of the issue. So I hope to convene that discussion during the course of the week. But I want to say to you that independence is not a completion in itself. It is a journey. And every day, as you heard from our speaker this evening, we have to continue to fight, and the attacks on our country come in many different ways. There are several examples I want to leave with you this evening. A couple of days ago, there was an article which appeared in one of the website newspapers in the Carolinas. And in it, the lead paragraph said, "Bahamas diplomat charged in federal court with a corruption offense." But when you read the story, it's not a Bahamas diplomat at all. It's an American diplomat who served here as the charge d'affaires for 3 or 4 years, who was charged with a corruption offense in the federal courts of the United States. What was our job in the foreign ministry? To let the people in that newspaper and America know that that was not a Bahamian diplomat. That was an American diplomat. That's the defense of the Bahamas. And in too many cases, as soon as people see things like that, they jump on the bandwagon and say, yeah, that's the way we are. The second example I want to give is down in Long Island, there's something called Dean's Blue Hole, which is something like 625 feet goes down. And every year there's been a promotion by people who come to dive, free dive in that hole. That means without any scuba diving or anything, you go down as far as you can. And this has been a tourist promotion that's been going on. So just before going to Long Island last week, there was a letter which was published in the newspaper and around the websites saying that this promotion had to be canceled because the infrastructure in Long Island had not been improved, and he, who was the promoter, had been trying to get support but couldn't get support. Now, I go to Long Island every year at this time of the year, and I was trying to figure out what happened between last year and this year in terms of the infrastructure that meant that this promotion could not go on. I actually went along the Dean's Blue Hole Road. Looks the same to me. The road is a private road, it's not a government road. You have the internet service, you have the airport, etc. So I asked the Minister of Tourism whether or not he'd actually heard from this gentleman before going public. No, he hadn't. But he reached out and found that there are other issues which led to that decision, which had nothing to do with the Bahamas government or the infrastructure which is provided to support it. But it's just amazing how people, on a dime, simply just think that the Bahamas is a punching bag, so as soon as something displeases them, they can just go and attack the Bahamas. That's what I mean by defending our country. And then the last example. We are now going through a difficult period with the Royal Bahamas Police Force. You know these voice notes that have been going around. You know also that there's an investigation going on. But I want to assure you, first, the Royal Bahamas Police Force has the support of the people and the government of the Bahamas. It's all we have. It's all we have. And there is no point in trashing the Royal Bahamas Police Force and in saying things like it can't investigate itself, it can't do this, it can't do the next thing. I assure you that there will be a thorough investigation of this matter. Any people or expertise that needs to be brought in will be there to support the work that is done. But we have to have the confidence in our own institutions. If we destroy our institutions, we destroy ourselves. So that's the path that I say. We have to defend our independence. There's an American diplomat who came to see me about 10 years ago. And I said, as he walked in, I breathed a sigh of relief. I said, what is it now? Because there's always something. We didn't do this, we didn't do that, we didn't do the next thing. And his answer to me is, you said you wanted independence. You've got it now. And there are responsibilities which come with it. So, I'm here to tell you, this is what we're requesting. It's your decision, because you're an independent country. So that's what it means. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, independence is a legal state. It means that we have the responsibility to make the decisions for ourselves. People fought very hard to give us that right. To give us that right. You just remember now, 1962 was the first time women could vote. Patrick Bethel, who used to be the head of the old technical college before the University of the Bahamas and BTVI, from Abaco, told me that he supported nationalism the first time he heard Milo Butler speak. But he could never vote until the laws changed in 1962, because he was a public school teacher and he owned no land. And if you didn't own land, you couldn't vote. Or if you didn't rent a premises that was £4 in rent or more, you couldn't vote. He was a public school teacher and lived in public accommodation, so his rent was free. So he didn't own land and he didn't pay rent of £4 and he couldn't vote. But in 1962, that changed. And in 1967, he was able to help usher in majority rule for our country. We've come a long way. And it is up to these children, Reverend Raming, when the 100th anniversary of our independence comes around, I dare say none of us, with the exception of Carl Raming says he's going to be here. I hope to be watching from above. But I commend to you a wonderful nation. And you in Fox Hill helped to build this nation. And you must, with all your might. Arthur Hammer used to say, my country, right or wrong. My country, right or wrong. You, with all your might, must defend the independence of this Bahamas in large ways and in small. We don't have military might, but we have the moral authority to fight for our country, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. So God bless you, and God bless this wonderful Commonwealth of the Bahamas.